yesterday I got the hood back on the car and wired up my underhood lights I have under here. It's pretty cool. They're just little cheap LED strips from off eBay, and I got a hood switch here that when the hood closes, it cuts them off. So, a little simple deal there. If I get stranded somewhere and I got to look at something under here. But I also installed this back pressure canister so I can read back pressure. I drilled and tapped the turbine housing down there and ran that copper line to this housing. And what this does is this little canister is basically like an air capacitor, and the exhaust pressure comes up through this tube. This is kind of like a coil to cool the pressures or cool the air and then get all the condensation out before it reaches the canister, because when it cools it's going to condense, get into the canister, and then the sensor will read it, and this calms the pulses down to where you have a more readable pressure when you're reading it on the log on your Mega Squirt or Holly or whatever you have. And that way it's just not, the graph's not spiking like this. It's kind of like a, it's like a small wavy where you can see a better average of what the pressure's doing. The reason why I'm doing that is because I've got the Holly hooker manifold set up on here, and the reason why I used that was because it's just so strong and robust, and it was easy to make a hot side with it, and I felt like it was going to last a long time. And my goal when I made it was, to make 850, somewhere around there. And I did that, but now that I'm thinking I want to make more, since I have good rods and pistons in here, I'm trying to see if I'm on the limit of the hot side. I shouldn't be too close to it. I've seen where people have made 1200 wheel with it, and they've been fine. They may be a little higher than your typical truck manifold style setup, but I still want to make sure I'm not getting into any dangerous zones. But I still got to wire up the Mega Squirt that I have to go in the or the Micro Squirt that goes into my gold box that I have, and get it going. That way I can have some extra inputs and outputs, maybe do some wheel speed sensors and stuff like that later on. But yeah, I'm going to drive this thing around basically all weekend and try to make sure these rings are broke in and everything, and then change the oil and cut the filter open and make sure it's good to go before I start beating on it any. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing at this point. Decided to do the first oil change on the car. I've driven it probably, I don't know, 150 miles or so. I'm gonna say I'm not an engine builder, so I'm not really used to getting new engines, but there is a little tiny bit of sheen to it. I mean, it's not like huge flakes, huge amounts of glitter, but there is some. I cut the filter open, and it's pretty dark, but I don't really see a ton of metal. It's kind of hard to see in this filter anyways, but it's not like there's chunks in it yet, but I guess I have to keep an eye on it. But figured I'd go ahead and change the oil in this thing and see what it looks like, because I'm a little worried, to be honest with you, because I don't build engines, and last time I did build one, it was a disaster, but that was years and years ago. So I'm gonna crank this thing up and see what kind of oil pressure it's got with the new oil. Getting her cleaned up a little bit for the car meet, getting the soot off the side of it from the bumper exit exhaust. RX7 seems to be ready to go. I drove it to town this morning and it seems like it's okay, so yep. Got to get this turd freshened up. Looking good for an old clunker. I'm gonna try to get one of these days, get my paintless dent repair guy to get these dents out. Those two, and then probably try to mess with this front fender, see if I can get these creases out. Other than that, the car is actually pretty straight. We cruising. Got the laptop, making sure the tune's right. So, driving the car last weekend a lot, I noticed when I got done driving it on Sunday, the car was smoking a little bit. So, got to looking around, pulled the downpipe off. Was hoping it wasn't rings since I just redid the motor. Doesn't seem to be, all the plugs are dry. Pulled the downpipe off. I'll show you the video of that where it was, you can kind of see the oil sheen in there. And got the turbo out, and as you can see, I'll show you another video of it, just the oil just leaking out of this thing. And oil is just running, I think, past the shaft seal, just getting all in the turbine housing, and smoking a little bit. So I'm going to attempt to rebuild this turbo. This kit here was 50 bucks, and it doesn't work, I'm out $50, and I still got to buy a new turbo. But I'm going to give it a shot. I've never done it before. Don't look like rocket science on the videos that I've watched, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing apart. So it looks like to me it's been doing this for a while. It's been leaking. These are the shaft seals here. It's like it's been leaking past these into this cup on the exhaust wheel. That's a lot of buildup around here. That should be pretty dry. So I think we found our culprit for the smoke for sure. Got the turbo rebuilt, all back together. There's some really good videos online on how to do this. It's not really that hard. Only major thing is, I know, just mark the shaft and the impeller before you take it apart, so you know. I think they're all balanced as a unit, so that thing spins quite a few RPM, so it'll get out of balance and mess some stuff up. But let's get this thing on the car. Just got done with the test drive on the car. It seems like it's okay. Put a new version of firmware in the computer, so this has got a Mega Squirt on it, and had a few updates that I really like on it. But rebuilt the turbo, and it seems to be okay. We'll see. It's not smoking anymore, so hopefully that fixed it. Got another car meet tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're going to take the Fairmont because Stephanie's got to work, but I'm probably going to drive this at least. It's a good little haul from my house. It's probably an hour from my house, so it'll be a good little test for it. Well, got the front wheels off the Fairmont. I'm going to change these tires out. There's really nothing wrong with them, but I had a friend order some for me in November, and they finally came in, and these things are just absolutely ridiculously rare, and when you do find them, usually they're ridiculously expensive, but he gave them to me for a good deal, and here they are. So I'm gonna put these new tires on. Those other ones, like I said, there's really nothing wrong with them, but since I have them, I'm gonna put them on and probably sell the other ones, get a little bit of my money back, and have some freshies on the Fairmont. I drove the RX7 around a lot yesterday. Seems to be okay after the turbo rebuild. Going to take it to a car meet tonight, and like I said, I'm not sure if we're driving that or not, but this one's definitely going, so got to get it all ready to go. We're on the way to the meet. Got the laptop out.